You wipe the counters, take out the trash, and go to bed. The kitchen is spotless. Then, somehow, a roach still shows up under the sink. Outside, the restaurant lights click off. Trash bags hit the curb. Subway grates breathe warm air into the sidewalk. In that same hour, a rat runs the curb line like it owns the route. A mosquito taps down on a bottle cap holding rainwater. Pigeons settle onto ledges above the street. It feels like we should be winning. We have money, pesticides, traps, sealed containers, building codes, smartphones. So why do rats, roaches, mosquitoes, and pigeons feel impossible to beat? Here's the uncomfortable answer. In the environments we actually built, a lot of classic pest species are simply the best fit. Not more evolved, not smarter than everything else. Just better matched to a warm, cluttered, food-rich, constantly disturbed world. Cities don't welcome every animal, they filter them. The ones that can't handle noise, heat, concrete, and chaos fade out. The ones that can find calories, water, shelter, and tiny access points stick around and multiply. And your home isn't one habitat, it's hundreds. Behind that spotless wall is a warm, damp cave of pipes, cracks, and crumbs you never see. So the pest you spotted wasn't random. It was predictable. If this is a game we accidentally built, what's the first big advantage we keep handing them without noticing? A city is not just lights and noise. It is calories left unattended. A restaurant closes for the night. The door locks. In the alley, one trash bag slumps at the curb. A seam opens. Grease leaks out. Rice, meat scraps, bread, and sauce hit the ground. It looks small. To nearby animals, it is not small at all. Flies arrive first, following the smell. Cockroaches work the edges and drag crumbs into cracks. Rats come later, calm because they know the route. By morning, gulls and pigeons take the day shift, checking the same spots for leftovers. So why do pest populations explode in cities and farms, even when nature outside seems harsher? Because human places feed them by routine. Trash gathers in the same areas. Dumpsters overflow. Lids fail. Pet bowls stay outside. Grease builds up behind kitchens. Compost leaks. Grain spills in barns. Pantry food sits in bags that are easy to chew through. Wild food is scattered and uncertain. Human food waste is dense and predictable. For generalist feeders, that changes everything. Rats, roaches, flies, gulls, and pigeons do not need perfect food. They need steady calories. Here is the turn. One split trash bag is not one meal. It can be thousands of bites, enough to support breeding, not just survival. If we feed the system, even by accident, we help finance the next generation. That is why pest problems often follow food systems, not effort. Cleaning once may help. Removing steady calories changes the rules. Food explains the crowd. But where do pests go when weather turns bad, lights come on, and predators should matter? You wipe the counters, take out the trash, and the kitchen still feels sealed. Then a cockroach slips out from under the sink. To you, it is a wall. To a roach, it is a mountain range full of caves. Inside that wall, pipes carry water. A fridge motor gives off heat. Floor cracks hold crumbs. A drain connects to larger lines under the building. From the room, none of this looks alive. But to a small animal, it is shelter, water, warmth, and a route in and out. So why do pests thrive indoors, instead of staying outside with weather, birds, and bigger predators? Because buildings are not just barriers, they are three-dimensional habitat networks. Wall voids, basements, attics, insulation, elevator shafts, drains, sewers, and subway tunnels can link together like an endless cave system. The key is microhabitat. A tiny protected space can be enough. Darkness lowers risk. Moisture keeps insects alive. Warmth keeps them moving. In some cities, heat islands and indoor heating can soften winter, so certain pests stay active longer and fewer die off. Now follow one drop from a leaky pipe. It beads on the metal, slides down, and vanishes into a dark crack. That crack looks like nothing, but it is a life support pocket. Water, cover, and stable temperature in one place. That is the twist. You cannot understand pests by looking only at clean rooms. A spotless kitchen can still have hidden shelter and easy access, so pests can be fed and sheltered. But why do some species keep winning in the same city while others disappear? Cities don't welcome animals, they test them. You toss trash into a bin and leave. Nearby, an animal tries to make a living there. Imagine a tryout. One animal needs one exact plant, insect, or nesting spot. It crosses asphalt, noise, and traffic, but the one thing it needs is gone. It is not weak, it is too specialized for this place. Now, the familiar animals step up. A rat eats scraps, pet food, or whatever spills. A fly uses waste. A raccoon opens a bin. A roach hides in a crack. A pigeon lands on a bare concrete ledge and starts a nest. No trees, no problem. Why do so many cities end up with the same winners? Rats, pigeons, roaches, and flies. Because urban life keeps running the same filter. Construction breaks habitat into pieces. Traffic, light, noise, cleanup, pollution, and human schedules keep changing the rules. Specialists need stable conditions. Generalists switch food, switch shelter, and keep going when the place changes again. The pigeon's ledge is the key. What looks like nature losing is also a new niche. Buildings repeat cliff-like surfaces everywhere. Urban winners are not stronger. They are less picky about what counts as food and home. Ecologists call this urban filtering. Species that live near humans and benefit from human-made habitats are called synanthropic, so city wildlife can mislead. It may mean a narrow set of adaptable animals is doing well, not that the whole ecosystem has recovered. But even with food and shelter, people fight back with traps, sprays, and poisons. So why don't pests just disappear? You didn't lose the war. You reset the clock. You spray the kitchen, set traps, scrub the floor, and take out the trash. For a few days, everything looks better. The counters are clear. The floor is empty. Then, weeks later, you switch on the light and see tiny roaches near the sink. They are nymphs, small enough to slip from a crack behind the pipe. Why do infestations come back after traps, sprays, or one big cleanup? Because many pests live on a fast clock. They mature quickly, they reproduce often, and they hide in small refuges where danger barely reaches them. A spray or trap line may remove what you can see, but it may leave the engine running. Warmth, moisture, crumbs, shelter, and open paths through the building. That is the rebound problem. A trap line can look successful while life continues inside a wall void. The visible layer drops, but the habitat still works. If eggs or survivors remain in a pipe gap, cabinet seam, or baseboard crack, the population can start again. If none survive, newcomers may arrive from next door, the trash room, the drain, the basement, or the alley. This is why pest burden is often tied to maintenance and shared infrastructure, especially in connected housing. Individual effort matters, but it cannot seal every root or fix every moisture source alone. Long-term control is not only about killing, it is also about reducing food, water, shelter, and access, so rebound is no longer automatic. But if our attacks become part of their world, can that pressure push pests to change, almost like evolution in real time? Every time we swat, spray, or poison, we are not just removing pests, we are also editing the population. You spray the kitchen, you wipe the counter. For one quiet day, it feels under control. Then 2 roaches cross the floor. One walks through the treated area and dies. The other stays deep inside a narrow crack, where the spray barely reaches. It survives the night. Later, its offspring are part of the next wave. So when pests seem to come back, it is not always the same individuals returning. Sometimes, it is a group shaped by the ones that survived the last attempt. Do pests adapt to us? Sometimes. Not everywhere, and not in every species at the same speed. But many pests have the right ingredients for fast change. Short generations, large numbers, and repeated pressure from the same tools. In many pest insects, resistance can be genetic. A few individuals may naturally be less affected by an insecticide. If they survive and reproduce, their traits become more common over generations. Insecticide resistance is documented in many pest insects. Other changes are not genetic at all. A rat may avoid a trap path after repeated disturbance. Some pests may shift when they move, where they hide, or which routes they use. That can look like intelligence, but often it is simple survival and caution. This is why one tool can stop working when it is used again and again while food, shelter, and entry points stay the same. The real lesson is not to panic or escalate blindly. The pressure matters, but the conditions matter too. Even if a pest wins inside one building, how did it reach your city, or even your continent, in the first place? You wipe the counter, you tie the trash, you shut the pantry. Then something still appears. A roach under the sink, a mouse in the pantry, mosquitoes rising from a capful of rain behind a shop. They don't need to conquer our world. We ship it to them. A container opens at a port, and a local problem gets a passport. Port to warehouse, warehouse to truck, truck to apartment block. Tiny passengers ride the routes we built for speed. Eggs ride in tires and luggage. Rodents follow food. Insects find leaks, cracks, drains, and warm rooms. Local pests can become global before anyone notices. Near a loading dock, a mosquito lays eggs in a bottle cap. Nearby, a container ship horn rolls across the harbor. The nursery is tiny. The network around it is enormous. That is the twist. Pest victories often happen when small breeding spots plug into huge human systems. So are pest animals evolution's winners, or are we making the world they are built for? Evolution has no final champion. These animals win in the arenas we expand fastest: trade, dense housing, waste, leaks, cracks, and warm city pockets. Indoor heat and hot pavement can stretch seasons for some pests. Not all pests everywhere. The burden is not shared equally. Pests often rise where buildings are hard to fix. Drainage fails, trash piles up, and public support is thin. So, the answer is not rage at the animal. It is changing the arena. Waste, repairs, drainage, sealing, monitoring, and public infrastructure. If a rat thrives by a dumpster, the question is bigger than the rat. What part of your environment is silently paying the pest tax? Food, water, shelter, or access?